So, some backstory. I recently moved into a new apartment with a new roommate. The roommate that I had had before my current one was one that I actually had the chance to meet via FaceTime given this whole pandemic thing going on, but things ended up not working out and I needed to find a roommate at the absolute last minute. I made a posting on basically all the websites for a roommate, Facebook, Craigslist, Twitter, and even on my neighborhood subreddit. In less than 2 hours from when I made my post, I got a response from someone named Hazel. She reached out and said she could move in immediately and pay off half the deposits I paid so I could take less of a loss. Her only caveat was that she had a pet bird that she would keep in her room and that I was not allowed to enter her room no matter what. She said she could move in the next day. I figured that was fine as long as the bird wasn't noisy or anything and that it was kept in her room. I didn't want to deal with the risk of stepping in random bird poop, The room thing was also, to me, a bit of a given because I can't imagine needing a reason to go in there. We talked a bit more, and she told me she was going to school to study philosophy, but it was night classes, so she would be gone most of the night. When I asked which school she was going to, she said it was a private institution that not many people have heard of. Weird, but okay. Fast forward to a week later, and I'm noticing some odd things. Before I get into that, let me say I did spend about 2 nights in the apartment by myself, and nothing odd happened. It may not be a lot to go on, but I feel it's long enough to get an idea and feel for the apartment, as well as the noises it makes and the overall atmosphere of the place. Nothing freaky happened that entire time. When my roommate moved in, I wasn't home. I was finishing some final paperwork and setting up the utilities as she unloaded her stuff, if she even had stuff to unload. So, I basically haven't had the chance to see her yet. While I was out, she texted me that she was moved in, but she had to go to class soon, so she was going to rest and not disturb her. I agreed and said I would leave her be. As I walked past her room, I heard the bird. The first weird thing I've noticed is my roommate never leaves her room during the day, not even to get something to eat or go to the bathroom. I would have heard her door open and close since our rooms are relatively close together and I have been working from home due to the pandemic. The only time she leaves is around 2:30 at night. I heard both her bedroom door and the front door open and close. I usually pass out by the time she gets back, but out of curiosity, I stayed up and she got back around 6 o'clock. I don't know if this is an everyday thing, but it's something to go on. Another thing is I noticed an awful odor in the apartment just these past few days. I texted Hazel if she could smell what I was smelling, and she quickly texted back that she didn't smell anything. It smelled like something was spoiled, so I called up maintenance for our apartment to have a look in the air vents to see if something managed to get in there and die, and as he walked past Hazel's room, the smell was really strong there. He knocked on her door and asked if he could come in, and she responded that she was busy, but assured us both that she couldn't smell anything in her room and to check the rest of the air vents. This was the first time I had actually heard her voice. It was quite high-pitched, almost childlike, but I didn't think much of it at the time because some people are just born with voices like that. The maintenance guy confirmed he could smell an odor, but he could not see anything in the vents. He suggested a test to see if there may be a gas leak in the apartment. He did that and the levels were normal. He then said that he would come back in the coming days to check to see if it is the plumbing. The oddest thing, though, has to be what I found in the kitchen sink just today and what pushed me to make this post. Hazel was following the same routine, leaving at 2:30, come back at 6. I was working on something for work and not leave her room all day. When I went to grab breakfast in the kitchen this morning, I noticed what looks like a human tooth. Now, I don't know if maybe she ate something a bit too crunchy for her teeth or something, but this freaked me out. I sent her a text with a picture of the tooth and asked her if this was a prank or something. She sent me a laughing face emoji and said, "Of course." I asked her to come out and get it because it freaked me out, and she said she would do it later. At this point, a week in, the smell has only gotten worse, and I am unsure of what to do next. I still haven't even had the chance to see her face, and I can't help but feel like I've made a huge mistake with this roommate and that something freaky is going on here. Does anyone have any ideas? Any advice or tips would be appreciated. I first met Kevin last August. My previous roommate had decided to move in with his girlfriend last minute, so I needed to find someone to take over his lease. as soon as possible. Luckily, my friend Evelyn was happy to help. "I know a guy," she told me over coffee one morning. Well, I don't know him. We met virtually at the online orientation for McKinsey, and we've kept in touch. He's moving to San Francisco, and he's looking for a place. Can I introduce you? I told her that sounded good. After all, this guy was a McKinsey consultant, and he had Evelyn's approval. How big a freak could he be? I gave her the go-ahead, and she set up the meeting. Kevin and I met over Zoom. He was remarkably like me, Asian, just out of college. I'm a recent Cal grad. He'd gone to Penn. He'd been living with his mother in Dallas, but with the McKinsey offices reopening, he was relocating to San Francisco. He seemed perfectly normal, and besides, time was running out for me to find someone. Finally, I asked, "Do you want to room together?" Luckily, he was more than happy to take over the lease. I sent him the documents, and he signed and returned them within an hour. I waited anxiously over the next few days. I'd never met Kevin in person. What if he turned out to be weird, or worse, a serial killer? I imagined him opening my door at night, standing over me while I slept. "Calm down, you loon," I told myself, realizing that I spent far too much time fantasizing about serial killers. Kevin's move-in day came, and around noon, I heard the doorbell ring. "Are you Kevin?" I asked, opening the door. He nodded. "I am," he said, smiling broadly. "Can I come in?" "Of course, man. It's your place now, too." He walked in, and I showed him around. Not that there was that much to show. Our apartment is a glass shoebox on the 30th floor of a high-rise building. There are modern amenities, European washing machine, Viking appliances, and a nice view of the Bay Bridge. "This is fantastic," Kevin told me, admiring the bridge. "Are you busy today?" "No," I said. "What's up?" "Well, I wanted to buy some furniture for my room. You seem like you have good taste. Care to join me?" I said sure. Kevin had rented a U-Haul, and we drove to the IKEA in Oakland. Thankfully, Evelyn's instincts had proven right. Kevin was warm and funny, cracking jokes as we crisscrossed the aisles of the store. I helped him unpack and assemble his furniture, a bed, a dresser, and we ordered pizza from my favorite place. "Oh, I almost forgot," Kevin said, standing up and rushing off to his room. He emerged with a package. "I got you a housewarming gift." "You didn't have to do that," I said, genuinely touched. "Evelyn said you like wine," he said as I opened the package. "This is a $200 bottle," I told him. "What say we crack it open?" He smiled mischievously. "That's what I like to hear." I got up and filled 2 glasses, and Kevin made a toast. Here's to being roommates. The next few months were awesome. Kevin was the perfect roommate. He was meticulously clean and kept the apartment spotless. He was quiet and respectful, and he was a hell of a cook. I'd arrive home from my software engineering job most days to find him in the kitchen, whipping up some dish or another. I get dinner for free at my office, but eventually I began pitching in for half of the groceries so that Kevin would cook for me every night. Back in March, Kevin told me that he was leaving for a month. "My mom is having surgery," he explained. "It's just me and her, so I want to be around to help her recover." And he's a good son, too, I thought. I wished him well and told him to text me if there was anything I could do to help while he was home in Dallas. The month that Kevin was gone dragged on slowly. I realized how vibrant he'd made our apartment in the 6 months we'd lived together. Without him, life was a lot less animated, and I found myself growing bored and restless. I counted down the days to his arrival. 2 days ago, Kevin finally returned. "How was your trip?" I asked him, genuinely happy to see him. "And how's your mom doing?" "She's fine," he said. I immediately noticed something different about him. There wasn't any of his usual warmth or charisma. I chalked it up to tiredness, and I told him to get some rest. I asked him if he wanted to get dinner the next day, and he said yes. Dinner didn't go as I expected. Kevin still wasn't himself. It was like someone had sucked all of the energy out of him. He'd always been the one to remind me of inside jokes. When I brought them up, he didn't seem to remember them. I pondered this more as I went to bed. It wasn't just the personality that was different. There were subtle, physical changes that I hadn't noticed. Kevin had been kind of chubby before, but he'd lost a noticeable amount of weight. Is it possible to lose 30 pounds in a month? I wondered. And was my brain playing tricks on me, or had Kevin had a tiny mole on his right earlobe? The next morning, I looked closer and saw that the mole was gone. I slept with the door closed that night. I know because I remember the latch clicking when I shut it. But this morning, the door was cracked open. It was just a hair, so I might just be imagining things. But what if I'm not? I don't know what happened to Kevin on his trip. I'm not sure that it's actually even Kevin who's returned. I tell myself that I'm freaking out about nothing. Maybe he got surgery, liposuction, and a mole removal on his ear. That's normal, right? I feel like I'm going crazy. I'm at a hardware store and I'm buying a lock.